Raceway. It's Jake and Elwood in front now by 3 lengths. See the USA second. Jake and Elwood in front.
This week, Jake and Elwood are on a different mission with a much larger prize as we present the $300,000 Art Rooney Final next on Summer Racing 90. During a summer full of major stakes races, this Saturday night holds a special place in the hearts of those associated with Yonkers Raceway, because tonight's feature race bears the name of the former chairman of the board of Yonkers, known to one and all as the Chief. And good evening, everyone. I'm Gary Sussman, and welcome once again to Summer Racing 90, as tonight we honor one of the legendary figures in the world of sports, spanning both football and racing, Art Rooney. My broadcast partner from WFAN All Sports Radio in New York, Jody McDonald. Jody Mack, tonight's Rooney Final is certainly a race the Chief would have been proud of.
Probably Art Rooney's two pride and joys in the world of sports, Gary, were his Pittsburgh Steelers and Yonkers Raceway. He won many a championship with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We may see a divisional champion here tonight in the Art Rooney Final.
And we may see a track record. And the Rooney Final will be our second race this evening, and we'll also have a feature on Art Rooney after our first race tonight. One reminder for you, next week on Summer Racing 90, we will be with you on Sunday night as we bring you the International Trot. Check your local cable listings, but it's Sunday, August 5th for Summer Racing 90 as we get ready to bring you our first race tonight. Non-winners of $10,000 in their last 8 starts. And let's take a look at the horses who will comprise this 8-horse field. The one horse is Mr. White Sox with Mark Lancaster at 5-2, Parmel Landing and Joe Marsh Jr. at 5-1, Sir Van Zandt at 5-2 with Dan Daly in the bike, and Baker's Escort at 9-1 with Herve Filion. The 5 horses kinda smooth N with Jim Marone at 18-1, the long shot Daredevil at 44-1 with Normand Flouet next night out, and Tom DeVitas at 13-1, and Save the Tiger and Ted Wing at 2-1. Those are the horses for this triple, a mile and 16th. Earlier this evening, we spoke to ace handicapper John Gallo, publisher of On Gate Selections. Here's his selection for race number 4.
This race shapes up to be a wide-open event this evening, but I'm going to go with Save the Tiger. This is a 6-year-old gelding who is 13 out of 16 in the money this year. The key factor for this race is that he comes off an easy wire-to-wire victory and picks up the single-hitch sulky for the added distance. He should be okay tonight. The other key factor in here is that he's already proven he's capable of winning at a mile and 1/16. He's capable of winning from the inside. The only question mark in my mind is, can he go from post 8 tonight at this 1 1/16 of a mile? Save the Tiger should command at the end.
So John Gallo likes Save the Tiger, has finished in the money 13 out of his last 16 starts.
And I agree with John that his win last week was impressive, but he has used the single hitch twice in his last 3 races, and he ran out of the money in both of those too. I'm a bit surprised that he goes back to it here.
And a horse that you like, though, the rail horse, Mr. White Sox.
John and I are on the inside and the outside. Mr. White Sox last week here at Yonkers went over the track in 1:55.3. That's much the best that anyone has done in this particular race. Now he goes back inside and grabs the rail. I think he's going to be tough to beat.
Now our feature race tonight is the Rooney. It is for 3-year-old pacers, and standing by in the paddock is Mr. Frank Drucker, the 4th member of our broadcast team, the harness rider for the New York Post, who has the trainer of Road Machine, Mr. Blair Burgess.
Road Machine is going to be when they leave the gate in the levy. Blair Burgess, this horse probably can outleave any 3-year-old out of the gate.
Yes, I think he can. He's showed last week that he can demonstrate good leading ability on a half-mile track. He's always been good off the gate. Even when he was a 2-year-old, he was good off the gate. So.
You got to be thrilled with the draw for this race.
Yeah, you can't ask for anything better than 1 hole on a half-mile track.
Last week was his first start over this track, his first start over the half in general. How did he come out of last week?
Fine. Came out very well. We worked him a mile in 2:12 down at Gateway Farm, and he seems good. He actually came out of this better than he did out of his Meadowlands pace elimination.
Okay, the 4th race is going to gate. Road Machine is going to be the horse to catch later on. Thanks, gentlemen. Back upstairs.
Thank you, Frank. Jody, a quick look at the odds boards.
9-5 on the inside on Mr. White Sox. He's a slight choice out of over Save the Tiger coming out of the 8 hole. So look for the 2 speeds to come from the inside and the outside here on our opener.
Upstairs to track announcer Bob Meyer.
Thank you, Gary. All 8 on the gate. And they're off. Sir Vance to send the track tries for the lead. Kind of smooth in between horses second. Daredevil outside third. Save the Tigers off stride. Next night out the outside 4th. Along the inside, Mr. White Sox 5th, Palmdale Landing 6th, Baker's Escort 7th. Around the turn down the backstretch, Servants in front by a length and a half, Daredevil dropping in 2nd. 3.5 lengths back to Kinda Smooth 3rd, Mr. White Sox 4th, Palmdale Landing on the rail 5th, with Next Night Out alongside 6th. Quarter time is 27 seconds flat. Straightening out down the backstretch, Servants maintains a length and a quarter advantage, Daredevil 2nd. 4 lengths back to Kinda Smooth 3rd, Mr. White Sox moving to the outside 4th. Palmdale Landing right with him 5th, Next Night Out 6th, Baker's Escort 7th, fall back to Save the Tiger 8th. Moving around the paddock turn, Servants in front by a length, Mr. White Sox moves up on the outside 2nd. Daredevil on the rail 3rd, Palmdale Landing has cover on the outside 4th. Kinda Smooth on the rail 5th, 2 lengths back to Next Night Out 6th. Half-time is 58-1. Approaching the clubhouse turn to final time. Servants on the inside, Mr. White Sox on the outside, head and head for the lead. 2 lengths back to Daredevil on the rail 3rd. Palmdale Landing alongside 4th. Kinda Smooth on the rail 5th. Next Night Out alongside 6th. Baker's Escort 7th. Around the turn down the backstretch. Servants in front by a half length. Mr. White Sox alongside 2nd. Daredevil on the rail 3rd. Palmdale Landing alongside 4th. 2 lengths back to Kinda Smooth on the rail 5th. 3/4, it's 127-3. Approaching the far turn, Servants on the inside, Mr. White Sox on the outside, head and head for the lead. Around the far turn, Servants hangs on the lead by neck, Mr. White Sox alongside 2nd. Daredevil hunts racing on the rail 3rd. There goes Palmdale Landing, 3 wide on the outside 4th. Kinda Smooth boxed in on the rail 5th. They approach the head of the stretch, Servants in front by 3 lengths. Palmdale Landing the outside 2nd, Daredevil towards the rail 3rd. Through the stretch, Servants in front, Palmdale Landing down the center track to challenge. Servants and Palmdale Landing, Servants and Palmdale Landing, Servants in front. Here's the finish. Number 3, Servants hangs on by a long neck. Number 2, Palmdale Landing finishing 2nd. Number 6, Daredevil was 3rd. The mile and the 16th and 2:05 flat. Let's go back to Gary and Jody.
Servants and Dan Daly win number 4 in 23 starts for the 8-year-old by Vance Hanover.
All the credit in the world goes to Sir Vance N. He got outset the early fractions, was pushed to some quick fractions by Mr. White Sox, and then Palmdale Landing, who got the perfect cover trip, was coming strong at the end, but Sir Vance N was also very strong and held on gamely to win our opener.
The winning time, 2:05, as Dan Daly pilots Sir Vance N to victory in this triple race. And we'll have more on Summer Racing 90 coming up, including the Art Rooney Pace, our feature race, which will be coming up shortly after this commercial break.
What's going on at Yonkers? The 32nd International Trot, the world's top trotters. Racing for $450,000. The International Trot, Sunday, August 5th. Yonkers Raceway, you bet.
And welcome back to Summer Racing 90 as Sir Vance N was able to hold off Palmdale Landing in our first race tonight, Jody, and an excellent stretch drive and an excellent move by Sir Vance N. Sir
Vance N certainly has some gate speed. He just hasn't shown it of late. He made the top earlier in the race, and here he's going to hold off gamely Palmdale Landing. I thought Palmdale Landing was going to go straight by Sir Vance N. Had a lot of kick when they turned for home, but Dan Daly does a good job at just holding off Joe Marsh Jr. and Palmdale Landing.
And Dan Daly, looking back at the board, he didn't have to look too far because he came home the victor, 10:45, 25:40. The place horse, Palmdale Landing, and the show horse, Daredevil. This was a triple race. The purse was $9,000, and the 3-2-6 triple returning $2,100. Good payoff on our first triple of the evening. And coming up on Summer Racing 90, the $300,000 Art Rooney Pace Final. Now, tonight's feature race is named after the legendary founding father of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who was also the chairman of the board of Yonkers Raceway at the time of his death in August of 1988 at the age of 87. Art Rooney Sr. was one of the great sportsmen of our time, and last year I had a chance to talk to Hall of Fame driver Del Miller about the Chief, Miller's friend for more than half a century. He was born at the turn of the century, and despite his success, never left the neighborhood in Pittsburgh where he was raised. Art Rooney Sr. was the founder of the Pittsburgh Steelers, acquired in 1933. Despite a prolonged period of lean years, the Steelers and Art Rooney rose to the top of the football world in 1975 when they won their first of 4 Super Bowls. But Art Rooney was also widely known in racing circles. Harness Hall of Famer Del Miller was a friend of Art Rooney's for more than 50 years and had great respect for the man known as the Chief. Miller said that Art Rooney was a beloved figure, known to all who passed through the gates.
He was a friend of everybody, and Art Box was always somebody standing in line to go and say hello to him. That's the kind of a man he was, and he had friends, and the thoroughbred trainers respected him.
Art Rooney was an innovative horseman and was instrumental in the growth of the sport in Pennsylvania.
He wanted a track where we could race all the time, so we come out with the first really good stone dust racetrack there. And we also had night racing and 5/8 mile track, and he wanted to build a mile track, but they didn't want to. And if he had had the license there, they'd still been racing. I guarantee they'd still been racing in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, if Art Rooney had the license.
It could be said that the Chief knew the horse business from the inside, which bred success as both a player and racetrack owner.
When I got all the publicity, I was no amateur when I went to the racetrack. I knew what it was all about. It wasn't a question of being all luck.
He knew gambling, and he knew what the people wanted. He wanted to have something that the people liked to do. Instead of going to bookmakers in Pittsburgh, he wanted to be out there where the state could get the advantage.
But despite the Chief's sports triumphs, it was the qualities that comprise Art Rooney the man that Del Miller will always cherish.
He was a wonderful person and such a great sportsman, and I never heard a person say a bad word about Art Rooney.
Art Rooney Sr., whether in the locker room or the paddock, always the Chief. And last year was the inaugural Art Rooney Pace, and we had quite a race kick up a storm. The victor, 3 eliminations leading up to that race, and 3 eliminations leading up to tonight's race. And right now, we're going to show you how the 9 horses, which are now 8 horses, got to tonight's final, as we bring you back a week ago and show you highlights from the 3 Art Rooney eliminations. And the first elimination was race number 3 on the Yonkers Raceway card. And let's pick it up with track announcer Bob Meyer.
Against the outside 4th. Nap Sugar on the rail 5th. Hanover 6th. 3/4. 125 and 3. Round the far turn. Scoot out of reach, still in front by 2 lengths. Road Machine 2nd. Gap 2 lengths. Center Strip 3rd. Odds against the outside 4th. Nap Sugar on the rail 5th. They approach the head of the stretch. Scoot out of reach in front by a length and a half. Road Machine the outside 2nd. 3 lengths back to Center Strip 3rd. Through the stretch. Scoot out of reach in front by 2.5 lengths. Road Machine 2nd. Scoot out of reach in front.
Scoot out of reach was never really pushed to any quick fractions. Teddy Wing got the job done in the quickest of the elimination times of 1:54 and 1. Road Machine Center Strip also qualified for the final.
And Center Strip, a late scratch this evening due to illness. The second Art Rooney elimination was part of Summer Racing 90, and this race had the only real upset in the eliminations. And watch the masterful drive of Herve Filion as he comes on in the deep stretch. Once again, Bob Meyer.
Closest 2nd. No Taste on the rail 3rd. There goes Seltzer Blue. 3 wide on the outside 4th. Drop off on the rail 5th. Candrel field 6th. 3/4. 126 flat. Round the far turn. Kiev Hanover leads by a half length. Seltzer Blue alongside 2nd and challenge. No Taste Hunts Race Room on the rail 3rd. Drop off on the inside 4th. Deep touches drop back 5th. They approach the head of the stretch. Kiev Hanover in front by a little more than a length. Seltzer Blue the outside 2nd. No Taste 3rd. Through this stretch, Kiev Hanover in front with Seltzer Blue and drop off. Kiev Hanover, Seltzer Blue, and drop off coming off.
We talked to Herve Filion after last week's race. He said he knew he was home at the top of the stretch with drop-off. Didn't look that way from here, but that's why Herve is one of the best. Kiev Hanover and No Taste also qualified for the final.
And the third elimination saw the masterful drive of John Campbell behind Jake and Elwood. And he was certainly the best on this Saturday night.
Only inside 4th. 3/4. 126 and 2. Around the far turn, Jake and Elwood maintaining a 2.5 length advantage. See the USA 2nd, 60 War the outside 3rd. Fortune Leader moves up on the inside 4th. Nuclear Flash the outside 5th. They approach the head of the stretch. Jake and Elwood in front by 2 lengths. See the USA second, Fortune leader third. Through the stretch, Jake and Elwood in front now by 3 lengths. See the USA second. Jake and Elwood in front.
As you can see, John Campbell didn't really ask much of Jake and Elwood down through the lane. Could have won by more than he did and stopped the teletimer in 1:54 and 2. See the USA followed all the way around for second, and Fortune leader qualifies by finishing third.
So it was to be a 9-horse field, but due to the late scratches, an 8-horse field as we get ready to bring you the post-parade for race number 5, the Art Rooney final. The purse over $300,000, and this an excellent test for 3-year-old pacers. And we will come right out of the chute with you this evening as you go behind the scenes as the horses come onto the track for this second Art Rooney Pace final. And it should be an outstanding event as we take a look at the 1-horse Road Machine, owned by the Contario Farms, Armstrong Brothers, and Dan Thompson, trained by Blair Burgess and driven by Richard Wojcio.
After going 6 for 8 last year, is 0 for 8 this year. Followed Scoot Out of Reach all the way around the track last week. Must leave and probably will leave here.
Now the 2-horse was center strip. He was scratched. So we will move on to the 3-horse Jake and Elwood, owned by the Bonnie Castle Stable, the LPG Standardbred Association, and the MRF Racing Stable, trained by Dr. Ken Sieber and driven by John Campbell.
When you talk about consistency, you talk of Jake and Elwood. 8 of 11 last year, 8 for 11 so far in 90, 1 under wraps in 54 and 2 last week. Campbell is the best that there is. Jake and Elwood is the horse to beat.
Looking to become a millionaire here at the Hilltop. The 4-horse is No Taste, owned by the Bayama Farms and Bernard Schlappa, trained by Elaine Thomas and driven by Yves Filion.
Caught some respect last week from the Yonkers public, going off at 5-1. Hasn't hooked Jake and Elwood yet, though, and/or Scoot Out of Reach for that matter. Yves Filion will be dueling his brother Herve, who's right next door.
The 5-horse is See the USA, owned by Rome, Taffel, Framke, and Cohn, trained by Gerald Pacino and driven by Herve Filion.
Superior as a 2-year-old who hasn't re-reached that level this year. Herve is banking on the back class, showing tonight also needs a trip here.
The 6-horse is Drop Off, owned by the Flicker brothers, trained by Kenneth Oscarson and driven by Ted Wing.
Was an upset winner here last week in 1:54 and 4. Was surprised that Herve Filion chose See the USA over Drop Off. Who knows, maybe Ted Wing drops into the catbird seat.
And that was a question that Jody had posed after last week's show. The 7-horse is Scoot Out of Reach, owned by Arlene Traub, trained by Tom Artandi and driven by the Magic Man, Billy O'Donnell.
Has shown the ability to race either on or off the pace. We'll need that ability tonight. Has to try and win from the 7-hole. Has the quality and the ability to win here. The question is post position.
The 8-horse is Fortune Leader, owned by the Marmac Stable and the Windcrest Stable, trained by Margaret McGuire and driven by Joe Marsh Jr.
Rank outsider will have to loop the field here. To be truthful with you, Gary, I don't see it happening.
And the 9-horse, starting from the 2nd tier, will be Kiev Hanover, owned by Joseph Hardy and the Andre Farm, trained by Len Waugh and driven by Donald Dancer.
Kiev Hanover could benefit from Road Machine going down the road early. Looked very good warming up prior to tonight's race. I give him an upset possibility.
So those are the horses that comprise tonight's Art Rooney Pace final. The purse is over $300,000. Track record possible, and possibility for a millionaire night for Jake and Elwood. And we will have this race for you right after these commercial messages. And welcome back to Summer Racing 90. Let's take a quick look at the odds. Road Machine at 11-1. Center Strip has been scratched. Jake and Elwood, the prohibitive favorite, at 2-5. No Taste at 7-1. See the USA 12-1. Drop Off 17-1. The 7-horse Scoot Out of Reach at 6-1, and there's your 2 long shots. Remember, Kiev Hanover starts from the 2nd tier. Earlier this evening, we spoke to John Gallo about the Art Rooney final. Here was his selection. It was no surprise.
Fraction should tell the whole story this evening as Jake and Elwood gets the call to prevail in this very tight fit race. John Campbell getting the driving assignment here. One of the key factors in here this evening is that he draws an inside post position against a very competitive field. The other key factor in here is that he should be able to set his own fractions, leading every step of the way. One of the main threats in here is Scoot Out of Reach, who's got a superb gait, a well-mannered horse. The other one that could upset is Road Machine on the rail. But I'm looking for Jake and Elwood to prevail in the final strides this evening.
And Jake and Elwood is the deserved favorite. I don't know if he deserves to be 2-5, and Scoot Out of Reach deserves to be 6-1, because these two have battled before and they've been very close on almost every single occasion. But when you talk about post position, John Campbell, horse coming off the kind of victory he had last week, that's why you see Scoot Out of Reach at odds on.
And John Campbell reached a very momentous milestone last night at the Meadowlands, as he became one of only 7 men in the history of harness racing to achieve 5,000 wins. And there you see the illustrious list of drivers, and quite a list it is. So John Campbell adding another notch to his all-star holster, and he's sure to be a member of the Living Hall of Fame next year, inducted into the Hall of Fame of the Trotter in Goshen, New York. Drop off. $28 payoff last week, Jody.
And I'm surprised that once again the Yonkers public is letting him go at as high as they are, currently at 20-1. We said, would Herve Filion stick with this horse, who was an impressive winner in his elimination? It was definitely the weakest of the 3 eliminations, but a horse that comes off that kind of a trip, if there's blistering fractions, he might be able to pick up the pieces again tonight.
And speaking of John Campbell, Frank Drucker spoke to John Campbell earlier this evening.
As if there are any harness circles John Campbell has not received an invitation to. Last night, he became the 7th man to win 5,000 career races. John, much congratulations.
Thank you very much, Frank. It's quite an honor, because the company is very select, and it's just an honor to be included in that group.
5,000 wins. Obviously, there are 1 or 2 that stick out. Which ones do you remember quite fondly?
Well, I think the Hamiltonian, the first one with Mac Lobel, is my biggest thrill. There's a lot of tradition in the Hamiltonian, and it was such a thrill to win it with a horse like him. And his win in Sovalla, Sweden, that was very special as well.
Okay, let's look ahead to later this evening. Jake and Elwood, post 3, now post 2, due to the scratch to center strip. This horse appears to be quite handy in any size racetrack.
Yes, he's very versatile. He can race any size track. He can race any way. He's just a very nice horse to race. You hear that a lot, nice horse, but he is just a pleasure to drive. He's very easy to race, and I think anybody could drive him.
Now, from the 2-hole, you kind of have the advantage. You don't necessarily have to go to lead. You can kind of sit and see what happens out of the gate.
Well, that's one of the advantages driving a horse like Jake. He can race anyway. He doesn't have to bust out of there. His manners are impeccable. So it's just kind of a wait-and-see approach with me. Once the gate folds, I'll see how much early speed there's going to be, and determine from there whether to try for the lead or not.
Jake and Elwood, the horse. John Campbell, career win number 5,000. John, congratulations and thanks again.
Thank you very much, Frank.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you.
And the horses will move in, Jody, due to the scratch, but Kiev Hanover will still start from the 2nd tier.
And that's an advantage for Kiev Hanover, because he'd much rather be following the rail horse Road Machine than coming from the 8th post. But I think it's all going to be who's going to be following Jake and Elwood. With Campbell on the 2, you've got to believe he's going to try and go over Road Machine and try and get the lead as early as possible. Frank Drucker thinks Road Machine can put Jake and Elwood in the pocket. I'm not sure that's going to happen, and I don't think the bettors believe that either, because they've now pounded Jake and Elwood down to 1-5.
Jake and Elwood looking to become a millionaire tonight at Yonkers Raceway in the Art Rooney Pace Final. The purse is over $300,000. Upstairs to track announcer Bob Meyer.
Thank you, Gary. All 8 on the gate. They're off. No taste in between horses. Tries for the lead. Road Machine along the rail 2nd. Scoot Out of Reach the far outside 3rd. Jake and Elwood on the rail 4th. See the USA 5th. Kiev Hanover's off stride. Around the turn down the backstretch. Road Machine in front by a length. No Taste looks to drop in 2nd. 3 lengths back to Scoot Out of Reach 3rd. Jake and Elwood 4th. See the USA 5th. Fortune Leader up on the outside 6th. Drop off 7th. Fall back to Kiev Hanover 8th. Approaching the quarter pole. Road Machine in front by a length. No Taste moves on the outside 2nd. Quarter time is 27-4. At the paddock turn the first time. Road Machine in front by a length and a quarter. No Taste elects to drop back in 2nd. Gap of 3 lengths, Scoot Out of Reach 3rd. Jake and Elwood the outside 4th. See the USA on the rail 5th. Fortune Leader the outside 6th. Drop off 7th. As they come by the stands the first time, Road Machine still in front by a little more than a length. No Taste back up on the outside 2nd. See the USA moves up along the rail 3rd. Scoot Out of Reach alongside 4th. Jake and Elwood 5th. Halftime is 56-3. Around the clubhouse turn the final time. Road Machine still in front by a length. See the USA on the rail 2nd. No Taste alongside 3rd. Scoot Out of Reach the outside 4th. With drop off on the rail 5th. Jake and Elwood the outside 6th. Kiev Hanover 7th. Fortune Leader's 8th. Down the backstretch, Road Machine maintaining a length advantage. See the USA on the rail 2nd. No Taste in between horses 3rd. Scoot Out of Reach 3 wide on the outside 4th. Jake and Elwood the far outside 5th. 3/4, 126-1. Around the far turn, Road Machine on the inside. Scoot out of reach alongside second to challenge. That's Jake and Elwood, the far outside third. 3 of them across the track. We'll see the USA right there fourth. They approach the head of the stretch. Jake and Elwood, the far outside, the strong horse. Scoot out of reach in between horses. Through the stretch, Jake and Elwood gets the lead. Scoot out of reach second. Jake and Elwood drawing away. Here's the finish. Number 3, Jake and Elwood, an easy winner by 2.5 lengths. Number 7, Scoot out of reach second. We'll wait on the photo for the show spot. The mile in 1:55 flat. Let's go back to Gary and Jody.
Well, last year in the Art Rooney Pace Final, you had horses like Dancing Master, Goalie, Jeff, and Kentucky Spur, and Kick Up a Storm was the eventual winner with a late stretch move. We thought the same thing may happen here, but no. Jake and Elwood, the both of them, going 3 wide with Johnny Campbell, a 155 victory in the Art Rooney Final.
And I'm sure if you were to talk to John Campbell after the race, he'd tell you that this wasn't exactly the way he planned it. He was shuffled back and had to make a major 3 wide move. He was following his toughest competition, Scoot out of reach, as they came down the stretch. But talk about an impressive victory. He just stepped out as they came down the stretch and finished in 155, which is well off a track record here at Yonkers. But just the same, this is an impressive victory, Gary. As you can see, he's just stepping away from the rest of this field, and John Campbell gets that big victory and makes a millionaire out of Jake and Elwood.
Jake and Elwood undefeated in his lifetime over a half-mile track. This is now 9 for 9. So the turns are no problem for Jake and Elwood. As you see the unofficial results, Scoot out of reach and Fortune Leader. The show horse. And the 3-7 exacta returning $6.40. And there was one big move in this race, and it came at the 3/4 pole, or just after the 3/4 pole. And Jody, take it away.
It looked like John Campbell was going to have some trouble here as he was brushed 3 back, a 3rd over on the far outside, but he was lucky, and that Scoot out of reach was the horse that was in front of him. There's a 7-horse Scoot out of reach who will get up and actually take the lead momentarily as they turn for home here. But John Campbell knows how much horse he has left. He's got Scoot out of reach in firing position on the far outside, and he is easily going to put away Scoot out of reach and cruise home to victory from here. I've never heard it quite pronounced that way, Gary. He's a money machine was the way that John Campbell described Jake and Elwood, and he's cashed in for over $1 million so far. John Campbell knows every single facet of the the harness racing game.
And wouldn't we all like to have a money machine in our backyard? Let's go down to the winner's circle and Frank Trucker with Dr. Ken Sieber. And Frank, I don't think Dr. Sieber was looking for the trip that he eventually got with Jake and Elwood.
No, I don't think so. And it's funny, John Campbell used the term money machine. Ken Sieber used the term money horse. Kenny, did you tell him the purse before the race?
No, but it sure seems like he can read the program, because when the money's down, he's good. He's good all the time, but as I say, for a horse to be as consistent so far as he's been for big purses, those are the kind of horses you like to have.
We talked last week about the week he'd have going into this race. How did he train back after the elims last week?
Trained back real good. The only thing that made me a little nervous, I think I mentioned to you last week, you can have good horses, but they can get sick and they can get lame. The one thing that bothered me a little bit is Thursday around noontime, he had the colic. And for probably 2 or 3 hours Thursday afternoon, and when you're coming into a big race like that, it always makes you nervous, but he snapped out of it. And we watched him real close up through this morning, and he's been fine. He ate good this morning, so other than that, he had a good week.
Okay, what are his immediate plans now? What are your plans for him?
Looks like, assuming he came out of this race all right, which he looked like he did, he'll go in the Oliver Wendell Holmes at the Meadowlands next Friday night.
Jake and Elwood, both of them, win the Art Rooney. Thanks, Ken Sieber.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay, back upstairs, Gary.
A money machine. Well, that's something that we all would like to get our hands on. And coming up on Summer Racing 90, the 3-year-old Open Handicap, and coming up next week, one of the major events of the year in the sport of harness racing, the 32nd International Trot, featuring trotters from 7 nations competing for the $450,000 prize, the largest ever in the history of that event. And the race will be Sunday, August 5th. And joining me now, the international consultant for European horses, Rooney Stolt. And first of all, I know you had a long trip from Sweden. Good to see you back at Yonkers Raceway.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to be here. And I think that next week International will be one of the best in the history of this World Championship. We send you several champions from Europe to compete here. Some of them were Horse of the Year in their home countries, and some of them are champions this year in their the countries that they represent.
It should be quite an interesting race. Now, one of the horses that we'll be focusing on, a horse that won the Premio Duomo in Italy, a purse of $255,000. Mr. Lucken, would you please tell us about this horse as we take a look at the race from Europe?
He is the best horse in Sweden at the moment. And he is a horse who also can race 1 1/4 mile. He mostly races that distance in Sweden. And he is also a horse that can make half-mile track. You know, in Sweden we don't have any half-mile track at all, but he raced in Premio Duomo in Florence over half-a-mile track, and he made fantastic well.
And I know that the International is a very important race for the European horsemen who come over here.
It is very important. This is the World Championship.
It has endured over 3 decades. Does this surprise you? You know, for those who may not be familiar, harness racing is very, very big in Europe, especially in Sweden.
It is. It is. We have this very great interest from people in Sweden to see horse racing.
Looking at this field, give me your dark horse. Give me the horse that you think may come up on the outside to take home the entire prize next week. Kit Lobel was a surprise last year from the U.S.
I, of course, hope it will be Mr. Lucken. It depends on the post position, so it will be very interesting to see the drawings on Wednesday this week.
And everybody will be coming into the country, and there's special quarantine. And we thank you for coming up. I know you've had a long trip, and get a good night's sleep, and you have a very busy week ahead of you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rooney Stolt, the European consultant for international horses, and he is in charge of getting many of those horses for you. And I am happy to announce that we will have a special edition of Summer Racing 90 next Sunday, 9 p.m., as we bring you the International Trot. Those of you who watch us outside the New York area should consult your local cable listings as we get ready for race number 6, the $15,000 3-year-old open handicap. And if it is anything like race number 5, it should be quite interesting. The horses are on the track, and let us bring you now the post parade for race number 6 as you take a look at the 1 horse, Bath Boy, owned by Matthias Meinziger, trained by Dan Bukowski and driven by Gary Mosher.
Ships in from Monticello off a New York Sire Stake win. Might not have the gate speed, though, to take advantage of the post here.
The 2 horses, Camachine, owned by the Yonda stable and Barbara Pastelak, trained by Jean Drolet and driven by Joe Marsh Jr.
Also won his last in 57-1 over the track here. Only his 3rd win, though, in 23 starts. Won't get number 4 here.
The 3 horses, Meadow Preston, owned by Piet Leon and Holland, trained by Jordan Rubin and driven by Donald Dancer.
Has won 2 straight here at Yonkers as well, but is also stepping up just a bit too quickly. Might be in over his head.
The 4 horses, Harpo, owned by Let's Farm, trained and driven by Dave Pinkney Jr.
Seems like everyone in this field has won his last race. Harpo got up to win last week's preferred handicap. Will be tough in closing here.
The 5 horses, Seltzer Blue, owned by the LPG Standardbred Bonnie Castle stable and the MRF Racing stable, trained by Dr. Ken Sieber and driven by Ted Wing.
John Campbell is the usual pilot for Seltzer Blue. Ted Wing picks up a live catch drive. Ran out of gas in last week's Rooney, but should get a trip here against lesser lights.
The 6 horses, Spirited Style, owned by Polly Gray and Camp, trained by Linda Toscano and driven by Herve Filion.
Wasn't touching Jake and Elwood last week, but meets somewhat less competition here, and having Herve in the bike never hurts.
The 7 horse is Count Khan, owned by Dansky and the Jetstar Farms and John Berger, trained by John Berger and driven by Mark Lancaster.
Definitely likes the Yonkers Oval, has won 2 out of his last 3 here. Has the talent to win this. Post position could be the only prohibitive.
And the 8 horse, who will be coming onto your screen, Candrel, owned by Como and Como, trained by Andy Murphy and driven by Richard Wojcio.
Could have a big input into this race if he leaves, which is what he should do. Has a lot of gate speed, live at a price.
Those are the horses that comprise our $15,000 3-year-old open handicap. And when we come back, we will have race number 6 for you right after these commercial messages. And welcome back to Summer Racing 90. Let's quickly go through the odds as you see horses 1 through 4. And many of the horses that you're seeing in this race raced in the Art Rooney eliminations last week. Seltzer Blue, Spirited Style, Count Con, 3 of those horses, and the 8-horse Candrel with Richard Wojcio. Earlier this evening, we spoke to John Gallo about all 3 races. Here's what he had to say about race number 6.
Seltzer Blue, who finished a game 4th last week against a much tougher field, drops down tonight into the open handicap ranks and should prevail at the end. One of the key factors in here is that he's capable of scoring a mild upset with Ted Wing in control. Last week, John Campbell had a shot at him, didn't quite get the trip he wanted. Ted Wing might improve this evening. The other key factor in here is that he's due for a top performance and can nail these at the wire. I'm looking for a very improved performance this evening. Seltzer Blue to take it all at the wire.
So the question, Jody, will this be Lou Gaida night tonight at Yonkers Raceway?
Lou Gaida and Ken Sieber night, trying to make it 2 in a row. Oftentimes I try and go against John Gallo's picks, but I had to go with him on Jake and Elwood, and I'm with him again here on Seltzer Blue.
Let's go down to the paddock and Frank Drucker.
Thank you, Gary. We had the 3-year-olds in the Art Rooney. We've got another set of 3-year-olds here in the 6th race. Linda Toscano, your horse Spirited Style faced Jake and Elwood in the Rooney limbs last week. You've got an easier task and a better post. How's your horse Spirited Style coming into this race?
He's a nice colt. He's not quite as good as the best, Jake and Elwood, and unfortunately every time we get in with him, we drive the 7-hole. It just hasn't worked out for us. So tonight he should be in a little bit better spot. Seltzer Blue and Count Con are nice horses. We just hope to get a good trip and see what happens from there.
The post 6, a little better than last week, but I'm sure you'd rather see your name come up 1 or 2.
Absolutely. He's got a lot of speed. We can kind of make our own luck unless you get in with Jake and Elwood and those kind of horses with See the USA, and those you can't leave against them and expect to do any good from the 7-hole. Tonight, he will probably race either way. You know, he'll race from behind, he'll race in the front. Any way you want to race him, he's okay.
As the trainer, you had to prepare last week for the best they have. Now you're going a notch below. Did it change your preparation at all for this race?
No, you can't let it change your preparation. The week before last, he was roughed up badly in a 3-year-old invitational, and I think it took its toll on him. I backed off a little bit on him last week, and I just kind of left everything the same way. You have to race you have to train a horse by the horse. You can't look at the races, because sometimes you'll mess up by training them differently for a big race as opposed to a less.
The heart of the racing season, how do you try and keep him healthy at this point in the season?
You just hope for the best you can do. The weather hasn't been working with us. It's rainy one day, it's cool, then it gets to 90 degrees. You just do the best you can. I like to get them out to the farm for a few days if I can get them out. I'm stable at the Meadowlands. The air is very thick at the Meadowlands. If we can get them out a little bit here and there, we try and do it that way. And you just play it week to week.
Week to week, and this week Spirited Style has post 6. Linda, thanks much.
Thank you.
Okay, back upstairs, gentlemen.
And Jody, what that proves is that the humans know the importance of the race to the horses. It's just another turn around the track.
That's exactly right. Spirited Style will try and turn it in and turn it around from the 6-hole. As of right now, he is the co-choice with Seltzer Blue, and Count Con coming out of the 7-hole is at 9-2. The 4-horse Harpo getting some respect at 4-1, and then you've got your various 4 long shots in the field. This should be a good competitive race with the 3 that came out of last week's Art Rooney elimination, your 3-figure horses.
The purse is $15,000. It is an open handicap for 3-year-olds. Jake and Elwood has captured the Art Rooney Pace final. The question is, will one of the 3 horses who did not qualify that final win this open handicap? Let's go upstairs to track announcer Bob Meyer.
Thank you, Gary. All 8 3-year-olds in this open coming up to the gate. Looks like another perfect start. They're off. Spirited Style, the outside, tries for the lead. Seltzer Blue in between horses, second. Bath Boy on the rail, third. Camachine towards the inside, fourth. Meadow Preston, fifth. Around the turn, moving towards the backstretch. Spirited Style is clear to field by 4 lengths. Bath Boy second, Camachine third, Seltzer Blue fourth. Meadow Preston fifth, Harpo sixth, Count Con seventh, and Candrel trails the field eighth. Approaching the quarter pole, Spirited Style in front by 2 lengths. Bath Boy second, with Camachine third. Quarter time is 28-3. At the paddock turn the first time, Spirited Style maintains a 2-length advantage. Bath Boy second, gap of 3 lengths, Camachine third. Seltzer Blue fourth, Meadow Preston fifth, Harpo sixth, Count Con seventh, Candrel still trails the field eighth. As they come out the stands the first time, Spirited Style in front by a length, Bath Boy second, 3 lengths back to Camachine third. Seltzer Blue moves on the outside fourth, a gap of 2 lengths, Meadow Preston right with him fifth. Halftime is 58-1. Around the clubhouse turn the final time, Spirited Style still in front by a length, Bath Boy second. Seltzer Blue the outside third, Camachine on the rail fourth. 2 lengths back to Meadow Preston fifth, Harpo sixth, Count Con the outside seventh, Candrel's eighth. Down the backstretch, Spirited Style in front by a length and a half. Seltzer Blue moving on the outside, second at challenge. Bath Boy on the rail third. Gap 2.5 lengths. Camachine fourth. Meadow Preston in between horses fifth. 3/4 is 127 flat. Around the far turn, Spirited Style in front by 3/4 of a length. Seltzer Blue the outside second. A length and a half back to Bath Boy on the rail third. Camachine the outside fourth. Harp fifth. They approach the head of the stretch. Spirited Style draws away by 4 lengths. With Seltzer Blue second, Bath Boy third. Through the stretch, Spirited Style in front by 5, Seltzer Blue second. Spirited Style in front and drawn away. Here's the finish. Number 6, Spirited Style, an easy winner by about 5 lengths. We'll wait on the photo for the place in show spots. The mile at 1:55 and 4. Let's go back to Gary and Jody.
Well, Linda Toscano said you don't train him differently, Jody, because you may mess him up. Well, she obviously did not mess up Spirited Style, coming home in 1:55 and 4. Herve Filion in the bike, his second victory in 14 starts in 1990.
Linda Toscano also mentioned the fact that Spirited Style was a handy horse, and if needed to, could go to the front. That's exactly what he did tonight. He then was easily able to park out Seltzer Blue with his challenge down the backstretch, and is the easiest of winners here, well ahead of the field. The Cavalry Charge is on for second, and it looked like it was between the 1 and or the 2 horse Bath Boy or Camachine, but it doesn't much matter because Spirited Style is getting the big check out of this race.
And Herve Filion making a trip that he has made many times in his career to the winner's circle. And we'll talk to the legendary Filion when we come back as Summer Racing 90 continues on a beautiful summer's night in Westchester. And welcome back to Summer Racing 90. Spirited Style, in excellent style. $6, $320, $320. Bath Boy, the place horse, and Camachine, the show horse. Good price for show, $14.60, and the 6-1 exacta, returning $39.80. In the winner's circle, 2 legends, Frank Drucker and Herve Filion.
Oh, Gary, you're much too kind. Herve, you kind of got out of there good. You beat the gate with this one tonight, didn't you?
What do you mean beat the gate? I just followed the gate out of there, and we left out of there pretty good. And the one horse made a bobble going into the turn, the first quarter in 28 and 3, I believe it was. But the half, I kept him rolling, and 3/4 127, last 128 and 4, and the horse was real comfortable, so there was no problem with him. He's a nice colt.
We'll take a look at the start of the race. Any doubt in your mind you wanted out of that gate?
Oh yeah, I wanted out of the gate because, you know, I knew I had to put myself in position to win the race, and if I take back, there was I would have had a problem maybe. And the horse, you know, in the last couple of weeks, he's been on the right line a little bit, and come to find out, the trainer, Linda Toscano, find out that he had a wolf tooth that was bothering him. So he's not eel on the right side yet. When you put pressure on the right line, he got a tendency to bear in. So, you know, I just want to get him out there, so I'm going to have to move him out behind another horse.
Let me ask you, I'll defer to you on equine knowledge here. There's a horse last week who went up against Jake and Elwood. Drops down a notch now. You think they know it going in, that the competition's not as good? You think they can sense something?
No, he paced in 55 and a piece last week and came back tonight, paced him on 55 and 4. And I feel the horse was better. See, I didn't race him last week. Carmine Abitello did, and 2 weeks ago I did race him, but he was a lot better tonight than I did race him 2 weeks ago. You know, they change from week to week, those horses, you know. It's not, you know, it's not a motor, you know, you just change the spark plug on it or anything like that. You know, they do change from week to week, but the horse was real strong tonight, was real good, so there was no problem at all.
Let me ask you, I talked to Linda before the race on what she looks for as far as keeping her horse healthy this time of year. When you've got a horse, you're behind a horse who's gone out 15, 16 times, how can you tell if they're as sound as you'd like them to be?
Well, by training him, the way she trains him, you know, Linda's got a lot of experience, and she's came from the right school, you know, Buddy Regan, and she knows what she's talking about. And the horse, you got to try to keep him fresh. And, you know, they tell you by training him and working with them and by racing him, too. You know, she asked me, what do you think of the horse? I tell her like it is, and there's no problem there. But the horse will let you know when the way he eats and the way he trains. The eating part is the most important thing. If you've got a good horse that eats good, rests good, he's going to race good.
Okay, Herve Spirited Style, a winner in tonight's 6th race. Herve, thanks much.
My pleasure.
Okay, gentlemen, up to you.
You know, Jody, if Herve would have said that he thought that Spirited Style knew if Jake and Elwood wasn't in the race. I was going to call the New England Journal of Medicine and talk about what's going on the screen.
The legendary Herve Filion, both for his driving abilities, ability to tell you whether a horse has got a chance or not, and his ability to tell you whether he beat the gate. Count Khan never did beat the gate tonight. He got away slowly. He figured to be in the hunt early, and it never happened. As you can see here, he was caught way wide in the early going at the half mile and never really was a factor. And as they come to the wire for the finish, no one else is even close to being a factor here. It's Spirited Style going away quickly with Herve Filion, and Linda Toscano seemed to know that she had something going here. When you talk about Jake and Elwood, you're talking about the cream of the crop. This was a pretty sizable step down. She knew that this step down was going to be her ability to step back up and get a victory.
Well, Herve Filion knew who the other horses were. I don't know if Spirited Style knew so much, but the only thing that counts is the end result in Herve and Spirited Style, the victors in our 3-year-old open handicap, the purse $15,000. We've seen races 4, 5, and 6. Let's catch you up on what's taking place this evening at Yonkers and show you the results of races 1, 2, and 3. The first race out to score, the 2-horse 523.60, 260, the place horse Championship N, and the show horse Paradise Lane, and the 2-6 exacta returning 53.80. In the second race, the second half of the early daily double, Balcony Blue Chip, again 540, 320, 220, Danforth the place horse, and Nap Sugar the show horse, the winning time 158 and 4, and the 2-6 exacta returning 124.20, and the 2-2 daily double $11.80. And in our third race, BJ Scoot, 155 and 4, $1146.25. Kev Tyler the place horse, and Humber Trail the show horse, and the 6-8 exacta in the preferred handicap returning $54. So that catches you up to date on what's taking place through races 1 and 6 at Yonkers Raceway. Standing by in the winner's circle is our own Frank Drucker. We'll have a little crossfire between Frank and Jody Mack. And Frank, Jake and Elwood going 3 wide to win the Rooney. Put Jake and Elwood in perspective for us in relation to the other 3-year-olds that you have seen this year.
Well, I'll tell you, Gary, I still think the best 3-year-old I've seen is Beach Towel. I think he probably has the most talent, but here's a horse who's yet to race this year on a small racetrack, small being a half. He did break at Greenwood in the finals of the North America Cup. I think he's probably still the best 3-year-old getting a deserved vacation. He is eligible for the cane. My guess is that they will come. Ray Remen and Seth Rosenberg will send the horse here for the cane because I think they know they have a shot for the Pacing Triple Crown. Jake and Elwood, I mean, John Campbell likes the word handy. He is. It takes any size track. He apparently comes out of every race as well as can be expected. He's a cash machine. If Ken Sieber says he's a cash machine, he made a nice size deposit into the account tonight. It's ironic that BJ Scoot, who won the 3rd race here, was a 1988 Little Brown Jug winner. You might have seen the 1990 Little Brown Jug winner about a half hour ago. He's that good. Back upstairs, Gary.
Frankie, looking down the road, as you mentioned, Ray Remen's got a chance to go for the Pacing Triple Crown with Beach Towel. Jake and Elwood is not Triple Crown eligible, but do you think because this horse is so prolific here on the half-mile track at Yonkers and anywhere on a half-mile track for that matter, that he'll hook Beach Towel in the cane pace to be held here later in the summer at Yonkers?
I think at this point, yes. You really hate to speculate something that's going to happen a couple of weeks down the road because a lot of things can happen. The health of the horse can change, as we've seen. The last couple of years have not been good on the younger horses. I would say if Jake and Elwood stays anywhere near as sharp as he's been the last couple of weeks, you will see him in the cane, yes.
Okay. And Jake and Elwood putting on a masterful performance not only last week, but this week to win the Art Rooney Pace Final. And speaking of masterful performances, next week at Yonkers Raceway, truly one of the great sporting events throughout the entire year. It is the International Trot. There will be trotters from 7 countries, including the United States, Italy, Canada, the Netherlands, Sweden, France, and we will have that for you next Sunday, August 5th at 9 o'clock, a special edition of Summer Racing 90, and we are very happy to be able to bring it to you. So that is what is coming up next week, the International Trot. So it's